Hello. So, sample space is the thing we are going to be talking about today. Um, so that is where what so far all we've been talking about is how to find out how many different options there are for different things to happen. So sample space is actually saying like what are the actual different options that could happen. So for the really big ones, like it would be very annoying to make a big giant sample space. So I'm not going to give you anything too crazy, but it's like basically a list or a chart, or you can make it however you want of all the possible outcomes. So not just the number, but what the possible outcomes are. Um, okay, so for example, the chess club must decide when to meet for practice. The possible days are Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, and the possible times are 3 or 4. I think the easiest way to do this is to make like a table or a box thing. Um, so you got Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Like my sound effects. And then you have 3 and 4. So you could meet Tuesday at 3, Tuesday at 4, Wednesday at 3, Wednesday at 4, Thursday at 3, Thursday at 4. Those are all the possible things that could happen based on the options that they have. Another thing, a football player attempts 2 passes in overtime. Each pass attempt could be a completion, an incomplete, or a turnover. So that one's harder to do in a table because there's 3 things that could happen. So, or actually, no, it's the same because there's 2 passes. I'm sorry, my brain. So you could have you could have completion, incomplete, or a turnover. And then the second pass could be completion, incomplete, and a turnover. So they could both be completions. It could be a completion and an incomplete, a completion and a turnover, or an incomplete, then a completion, 2 incompletes, an incomplete, then a turnover, and then turnover, then completion, turnover, then incomplete, and then turnover, turnover. Thinking about this, it doesn't really make sense to have a turnover first because of how football is played. Because if you have the turnover first, then the other team has the ball, so you aren't going to make another pass. But this was made up by a worksheet generator, and I don't think that they really care that much about the rules of football. So we're just going to pretend like that's not an issue. Anyway, so again, that's when it says doing the sample space, that's what you're doing. You're actually listing all the different possible outcomes. If it says to find the number of possible outcomes, you don't have to list everything. You just have to say how many there are. And with this, you're going to use fundamental counting principle. So a spinner can land on either red or blue, and you spin 4 times. So each time you spin, there's 2 things that can happen. Oh, dang it. Hold on. Stupid motion sensor lights. There we go. Okay. And then you roll a 6-sided die, which has 6 options. Whoops. I did that wrong. 2 to the 4th times 6 is 96 different possible things that could happen. So a jewelry store sells gold and platinum rings. So there's 2 different types of metal. Each ring comes in 10 styles. So there's 10 options for the style, and there's 6 options for the gemstones. She's multiplied by 120. And then as a reminder, for permutation or combination, okay, so once again, permutation is different things or order matters. Combination is order does not matter or everything's the same. So in this one, there's a student body of 40 students, and they're electing a president, a vice president, and a secretary. So the order does matter because they're each getting different jobs. That's why I think it's sometimes easier instead of thinking, does the order matter? Like it's not necessarily in a specific order, but they're all getting different jobs. So that is going to be a P. There are 40 students you're choosing from and 3 jobs that you are choosing. So a reminder on the calculator, you can get the P by hitting alpha window or hitting the math button and going over to probability. Okay, and then this one, 3 out of 14 students will ride in a car instead of a van. Well, the order doesn't really matter because all 3 of them are gonna do the same thing. They're all gonna ride in a car. So that one is a C. There are 14 people being chosen out of, and there are 3 people being chosen. So again, alpha window or math and then probability and 364. And ta-da. Yeah. Okay. So the end.